Madam President, Mr. President, excuse me.
It's okay, Democrat leader.
Mr. President, and I ask unanimous consent that the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Well, Mr. President, Donald Trump has tried to cover up for Jeffrey Epstein long enough. It's time that the Senate finish the job to finally compel the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. A few hours ago, the House of Representatives passed their Epstein bill with as lopsided as a vote as you can get, 427 to 1. It's now the Senate's turn. In a few moments, I will ask unanimous consent for the Senate to pass the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. My unanimous consent request guarantees that the Senate will immediately pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act without any further action as soon as it comes over from the House. We will pass the House's bill without changes, without delay, and we will finally get this done. Epstein victim groups have made clear that they support this bill as written, without amendments. We should listen to them and pass this bill quickly. They've worked so hard and long to make this happen and deserve tremendous, tremendous credit that we have arrived at this moment. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans or about Congress versus the President. This is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for. This is about holding accountable all the people in Jeffrey Epstein's circle who raped, groomed, targeted, and enabled the abuse of hundreds of girls for years and years. The American people have waited long enough. Jeffrey Epstein's victims have waited long enough. Let the truth come out. Let transparency reign. And I urge my Republican colleagues, let the Senate act today. And so, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate receives H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act from the House, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration, the bill be considered read 3 times and passed with no intervening action or debate, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Oregon.
Hallelujah. Equal justice under law just took an enormous stride forward in this Senate chamber. It was back earlier this year in July when Senator Lujan and I introduced the Epstein bill, the same bill that just passed the Senate chamber after passing through the House, and it had 25 sponsors, but we couldn't get a single sponsor from across the aisle. Not one. 25 Democrats said, let's co-sponsor this bill because we need transparency. The victims need justice. And yet, the president, who said during his campaign he was all about releasing these files, blocked them, did everything possible to stop them. And then in September, under consideration of the Defense Authorization Act, we put forward an amendment. In fact, our minority leader, Senator Schumer from New York, put forward an amendment and said, let's take the bill that Senator Lujan and I had introduced with 23 colleagues, and let's vote on it now and put it in the Defense Authorization Bill. And my good friends across the aisle, again, blockaded justice. They moved to table the amendment. And with only Republican votes, they created a 51-49 vote to kill justice, kill transparency, kill fairness for the victims of this evil, evil operation that Epstein headed. But the fight continued. The publicity continued from every part of the spectrum politically. From the far right and the near right, left of center, far left of center, all saying, this is wrong. The crime is enormous. Hundreds of young women, hundreds of girls raped by powerful men. Every American knows how wrong those rapes were, how much damage they did to the young women involved, often destroying their lives. Every father of a young girl thinks about how evil it would be for a powerful man to rape his daughter. And yet, Trump's persistence in blockading the release of these files continued until the House came back into session and there was a withdrawal petition, a discharge petition as they call it in the House. And a majority of the House members said, we must vote on this. And the president lobbied the Republicans who were on that discharge petition because Democratic names weren't enough to have a majority. He asked them to get off the petition, and they refused. So it became clear the House was going to vote. And today they did. And when it came to the question of saying yes or no on releasing these files, it was 427 members of the House strong, one opposed, saying, today we stand for justice. And so just moments ago, the minority leader, Senator Schumer from New York, came to this floor, and he asked the Senate to follow the example set by the House. And just earlier today, I said, when that moment comes, let's be 100 senators strong, 100 strong in saying yes to the unanimous consent request, saying yes to discharge of these files from the executive branch. I am struck that the language is very full in saying all the details have to be discharged and none of them can be blocked because of embarrassment or political sensitivity to the powerful individuals who are currently in office or may have been in office or may never have been in office, but may have been involved in Epstein's operation. Let the chips fall where they may. This bill says 30 days from a signature being provided by the president, 30 days those files have to be fully released, redacted only to protect the victims' names. So 30 days from now is a long time. And so I say to the President of the United States, you've had plenty of time to have your legal team already redact the names. So release these files now. Release them now. Sign this bill and release the files right away. Today's a victory for the voices for justice who have pushed and argued that these two chambers, the House and the Senate, need to fulfill the vision so embraced by the American people, so powerfully felt in their hearts, their sense of right and wrong, their sense that powerful should not be able to do evil acts and get away with it. And finally, their voices were heard today. So I thank my Republican colleagues across the aisle. Every one of them decided not to come to the floor and object, which means they are giving unanimous consent. So all 100 senators, however much they may have obstructed in the past, today did the right thing, and I applaud them for it. Let's together push the president to release these files immediately. They've had plenty of time to redact the names. Let's see no further administrative delays or cleverness, and let the chips fall where they may. May there be justice for the victims. May there be accountability for the perpetrators. Equal justice under law should be served. It's our duty to serve it, and we've taken a powerful stride to equal justice today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Senator from Arizona,
I ask consent to speak for 5 minutes.
without objection.
Mr. President, I've come to the floor 3 times, now to call for the release of the Epstein files. I apologize. Mr. President, I've come to the floor 3 times, now to call for the release of the Epstein files. Earlier today, the House voted to release the full files, and later today, I hope this chamber will do the same. Before we vote, I want us to remember what's really at stake here. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans. It's about real girls who were hurt, abused, and trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and the powerful people who surrounded him. One of those girls was Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She was forced to stay silent for years, but today I want to let her speak in her own words. Virginia was just 16 when she started working at Mar-a-Lago, where she met Epstein's recruiter, Ghislaine Maxwell. She writes in her memoir, Maxwell says she knows a wealthy man, longtime Mar-a-Lago member, she says, who's looking for a massage therapist to travel with him. My lack of experience doesn't concern her a bit. I'm sure you'd be terrific, she insists, looking me up and down. Will you come for an interview? Even today, more than 20 years later, I remember how excited I felt. Could my dreams of becoming a professional masseuse be on their way to coming true so quickly? Something about how this proper, well-spoken lady focused on me made me seem that possible. I told her I had to get permission from my dad first, that I really wanted to come. That wealthy man, we all know now, was Jeffrey Epstein. And that moment began years of trafficking and abuse for Virginia. Later in her memoir, she writes, I was about to spend more than 2 years in Epstein and Maxwell's orbit. My job, to do whatever they asked, whenever they asked it. There were no bars on the windows or locks on their doors, but I was a prisoner trapped in an invisible cage. Those are the words of a child who should have been safe, a child who should have been safe from predators like Epstein and Maxwell. She talks about how Epstein gave her money to rent an apartment so her parents wouldn't question why she had to go to meet Epstein's clients in the middle of the night. Here's the thing. Epstein did not act alone. He had help. And the men who helped him target and abuse young girls and protected him are still out there walking around like nothing happened. This can't just be another news cycle or another Tuesday. There needs to be justice. We owe it to Virginia and every survivor of Epstein's to finally get the full truth of how this happened and who allowed it to happen. That's why I'm going to again call for the full release of the Epstein files. Let's bring this evidence out, stop the secrecy, the cover-ups, and the protecting of these elites. The American people deserve the truth, and Virginia deserves transparency, accountability, and healing. At a press conference earlier today, another Epstein survivor said, today we stand in a moment that will decide whether our government belongs to the American people or to those who prey on them. We owe it to her and to every survivor to choose accountability and release the files. I yield back.